Hey guys, Chapel here. I've got in front of me easily the coolest thing that I've made to this day. This is a system I've designed after a couple iterations to take my time to missile and move it forward. But it can also move it to the side enough that it leaves the overall footprint of the system itself. So, as you might have seen before, this was the edge of this system, and there's now a 1 block gap between it and the missile. So, when you go and fill it up with TNT, which I'm using lamps instead because I don't want to destroy my testing world. So when you fill it up with TNT and add your fuse, and then place an observer here and update to start it. This is now being sent off, and because it has this 1 block gap, it won't interfere with anything, assuming that this is put at the edge of your build. So this will go on its merry way and explode somewhere in the distance as everything does. So I'll now reset this. So some official specs about this. The missile has 67 TNT on it, which is not nearly as much as before, but it still packs quite a punch. And that way this system isn't too large and can actually do this. So the system is 38 blocks long, 9 blocks high, and 14 blocks wide. However, it is tileable from only 7 blocks down. So just pasting without air blocks. So it's 7 blocks below instead of 9, and it's not going to interfere with anything. So, I mean, you could probably fit it a bit closer if you moved it over, but that's not the intended purpose. I'm not sure if that would work. So, okay, I'm going to put 2 times on, well, I'm going to put a time on the screen here where you can skip to if you just want to see the damage that this thing can do. Right now, I'm going to talk about more of the technical aspects and how this thing works. So feel free to skip or stay if you choose. So I've managed to go and move this missile forward by every time this, slow down time. I'm also slowed, but that's fine. So every time it moves forward, it'll power this piston and then unpower it fast enough that this flying machine that used to be automatic can move at only 1 step at a time. Of course, I do have to take out the observer here, but you can just always replace that. Oops. Place this back. Okay. So from there, I've split the... speed things up again. I've split the missile into 4 segments. You have the engine, the feed tape cycler, and then 2 that are the base of the missile and what shortens the fuse. So to push these segments, I have a line that helps these pistons push everything forward because I don't want to have just 20 pistons lined up because that would be very annoying to move forward as well as over. So instead I have this where each piston can push more than 1 line of blocks. So these pistons are all put together to push everything in the right order. If that's needed, I don't believe that is. I think everything just pushes at once in this version of it. So it can push everything right, pushes everything forward, nothing is left behind. And that works great. So to push these parts forward, I have 4 caterpillar engines, one of which is a double engine because this has to be a little slower moved. And to start these, I use a neat trick with update order. So if you're not aware, update order works as whichever block is furthest away from the piston, as in the chain of slime blocks. So it's not direct distance. This will not be processed before this. But whichever block is furthest away in the chain of slime blocks will be processed first in the subtick. So this block, since it is the first in the slime block chain, will be processed last. This would be second to last, and this redstone block would be first. So this redstone block is technically here before this netherite block is. So the netherite block comes down technically after and updates it, so it sends it off. So I'll do it over here so that it doesn't break, because this will break if you push this part last, but that's why you don't push it last. So yeah, that starts it, and then all moves forward. And then in one manner or another, I managed to stop it after X blocks by making something go over push limit. So in this one, I have the caterpillar engine run into this chain of slime blocks, which would make it go over push limit. In other ones, like this one, the double, I have that one start first. And in this case, come on. Sorry. I can see it. In this case, it runs into this, which would make this part go over the push limit. So that stops there. And here, I have this move forward. And then these parts hit the blocks here, which then stops this segment. So, from there you can send the missile off. Oh. Of course, once you do use this and deploy the missile, it is, I guess you could call it a spent module, in that you're not going to be able to move this forward again. So, if I were even to try to, this is not going to cooperate. This isn't going any further. That's the end of the life of this. Yeah. Yeah, you could play Beethoven's Fifth Symphony on this, no block, and it would still not move forward. So, if you were going to do this, you'd want to put it at the back of something. So here we have 2 of our missile deployment systems. One here, and here we have Hamsterbot. So if you don't already know, Hamsterbot was Cubehamster and Alex Yu's entry to the original Slime Block Robot tournament. And sadly, the updates have not done its cannons well, but the armor still works wonderfully, and it is a great example for what the weapons can do. So if I go, I'm going to prove that it still does move. So this block is 1 block out. And if I update this piston, and go, it's in now. So it does still work. Everything in this works. And if I were to go, and I'll use this one. So I've already filled replaced the lamps with TNT. And if I go and fill this up with TNT, you can start to see what this can actually do. Just start this. So This was in line with the edge of Hamsterbot. So, oh, oops. This was at 1713. This is at 1713. Yeah, that's what matters. So this is going to keep going until it blows up. Though, let me explain the logic and why this exists. If you are going to stab someone with a knife, and they take their pop-up shield out of their pocket, that's great for them, because now their chest is very well protected. For technology. So, you know, that went and blew up this part. Though, yeah, going back to the logic, if someone has a shield covering their chest and you're going to stab them, why would you stab them through the shield? Why, you know, in this case, why would you go and try to damage a bot through its front armor? Because, you know, you've got, at this point, the pinnacle of defensive technology, the active walls and the piston lock walls, which are basically impenetrable. So why try to go through that when you can destroy what's pushing it? You know, in this case, you've got side armor that's going to be protecting the slime blocks and honey blocks. So for the most part, well, yeah, this is the damage. All of this has just fallen behind because it's not being pushed anymore. You know, it went over push limit probably because of this design. But let me explain the what's used nowadays. So, but you know, you could go and have, you know, a big wall from here. This is more or less infinitely expandable, but if I took some slime and pushed this all forward, redstone block. So this is going to push this forward, then grab it back. And so, I mean, if you had gone and made this part 10 long of the actual like wall, the stone, this in of itself would actually be like a large, a thick piston lock wall, because that would make this over push limit, but that's not the point here. This is great for slide defense because of how simple it is and how easy it is to move. So if someone were to use this and you went and blew up this part, that's going to fall behind, exposing the honey and slime that would be here. That's pushing the wall forward. So if you blew up the honey and slime, you would disable the front wall, which in turn would cause a lot of damage. You know, that's going to cause jamming of the wall and the wiring quite far down in the line, perhaps even up to the engine if they were to ignore the damage entirely and just keep moving. So that is something to consider if you were to go and try doing that. And that does a decent, you know, if this were a side wall, you would have from the top to almost the bottom, so good 2/3 of the wall now exposed. You know, in this case, I'm going to go straight for the back. So just wait here. So that brings up, you know, another idea. If you have a pyramid of playing cards, as I'm sure you've tried to make once and failed because it's really hard. If you have a pyramid of playing cards and you knock over the top card, it's basically just going to knock over that one card. Maybe, I guess, there's 2 in the top layer. So it'll knock down those top 2 cards. Not a big deal. You just put them back together and stare in disbelief that you did something like that. I'm going to put on a fuse of 3 blocks this time. Oh, yeah. So, if you were instead to knock over a bottom card instead of a top card, you're going to also knock over every single card that that one card supported, which in most cases is the entire pyramid. So taking out the side armor so that you can take out the front wall is great, and that's a good strategy. But you could go directly for the good stuff. You could go directly for the back, because everywhere is going to be pushed from the back, you know, in some way. If they were to make a different sort of format for their wall, maybe it's hidden, they're still going to have to push it from the back. So then you can blow up that, and you could potentially blow up other things like wiring or, maybe weapons. There you go. So from here, you've completely just disabled all of this wall from moving, not by making it go over push limit, but by destroying what pushes it forward. So even if this were netherite, this would still be disabled. You broke the pistons, you broke the slime, broke some of this. I think I saw TNT go fly somewhere else, maybe break something. But say maybe you blow up the right spot, or you get lucky with TNT, TNT RNG, and something blows down and blows up something here. That, something blew up here, that would take out half the bot. I think this sidewall would stop moving forward and, like, break something. But, if I go and move this forward more. Oh. Huh. Think. There we go. So, move forward a couple times. The engine still works because the engine's in the center of this. But you'll see as part of this just doesn't move. Okay, I think that should be enough to show the damage caused. So you'll see most of this is moved forward, and this part hasn't. In fact, everything that's back here like this was damaged in some way that now it's back. So, well, this is collateral damage. Because of the design of this wall, it's caterpillars updating each other to push it all forward. So that is somewhat ahead, but still behind. That is just design of the wall, so don't account for that. But just from parts damaged in the beginning, you've disabled this much of the wall. So that is sidewall. That's potentially something else that they're pushing that's behind the wall, because that's why you have a wall, to protect stuff. So you've now caused, see, TNT went off here somewhere. You've now caused critical damage to the bot that would either have to be immediately addressed with an emergency repair. So now they're probably not going to be moving or firing other things. Now they're going to be trying to fix that so that it isn't completely broken. And in many cases, like I think I'll pop up footage here from the original SBRT, Epic Nerd had the robot mercenary. They had one endstone block misplaced because a missile came in and pushed it.
We cannot move, so... I can't... There we go. Alright, yeah.
Can we just try walking without one leg?
No.
It didn't ignite, but it pushed one block, and because of that, they lost the entire leg.
It's fine. I don't understand why it detached.
He is knocking out our...
It just stopped. So, likely cases, even if they were to attempt to repair, something wouldn't be successful, and there would still be a lingering damage. But some things are out of repair. If someone had a missile there, you would blow it up. You know, that's the thing with missiles. You're putting... It's like walking around with a couple grenades in your pocket.
Everybody, somebody got a soul. Get up!
You know, you're going to be fine, and you're going to be happily throwing, you know, grenades all night at, you know, whatever you're throwing grenades at.
Your shots are so good.
But if someone throws a grenade at you, you're going to go in a spectacularly large explosion.
Up together, don't fuck a soul. Up together.
That's weird. You know, so that's the double-edged sword of missiles. If someone shoots the missile before you launch the missile, you can say goodbye to your bot. So this could take out missiles. This could take out your side armor. This could take out vital parts of the bot. You just have to see. So, thank you for coming to my TED Talk, and goodbye.